Good evening, everybody. This is Darius Assemi, your host at GVWire Unfiltered. Welcome to another great episode. We have a lot of exciting new stuff to share with you tonight, along with my co-host Bill McEwen and Mike Carbasi, who is running a little late tonight, but he'll be joining us shortly. In our first segment, we have Mike Carbasi and Nick Richardson, Fresno City Council member from Northeast Fresno, joining us to discuss a few things about the city, including the Blackstone Avenue road diet, which some of you are going to go, what the heck is a road diet? And you'll find out. Does City of Fresno want to actually destroy lanes and replace them with beautiful landscaped bicycle paths, so take more cars off the street? We'll talk about that with Mike and Nick and a few other things about on City Hall. And then on the second half, candidate AJ Rasamny was a candidate for that actually parts of Blackstone Avenue and the core part of town. Election is June of next year, and again, um, the top two candidates go to November of next year unless somebody gets 50% plus one votes next June. So with that, let's dive in. Great weather today, through really for the next 7 days. Fantastic weather, lows in the 60s. Look at that, low 60s. It's awesome. Who wouldn't want to live in Fresno, California? Should President Trump dump Robert Kennedy Jr. as health secretary and replace him with someone who has legitimate medical credentials? Almost 60% said yes, 40% said no. RFK Jr. is doing a lot of cool things, removing dyes and sugar out of our, or at least telling folks not to take dyes and sugars and trying to ban artificial dyes from a lot of the food that we eat. But there's also a lot of stuff on the vaccination front and other things he's leading that's a little bit controversial. So we'll see how this thing pans out. After the 9/11 terrorist attacks in 2001, Americans rallied in purpose and spirit. Will we ever again be as united as we were back then? Doesn't look like it. More than 2/3 say no, we will not be. And finally, a local one. Do you support the city of Fresno's plan to reduce Blackstone Avenue from 6 lanes down to 4 lanes? 77% said no, it will cause more traffic and congestion. And we'll tell you who's supporting that and all the reasons why we should reduce Blackstone Avenue down to 4 lanes. And what are some of the bad ideas, and some of the folks that are opposing it. You will be surprised at some of the folks that are opposing taking a lane out from cars and making it a bicycle lane. We'll get to that here shortly. On the international front, some tents enter Gaza, but Red Cross says Enclave needs many more. I can't believe we're watching people starve to death of hunger in Gaza. Starve to death. I mean, we can put an end to that. We talk about it every Tuesday. We can put an end to that. President Trump can put an end to that, but he's not. Israeli military evacuation order triggers panic in Gaza City. Basically, they're getting ready to bombard whatever's left of Gaza City, of course, with U.S. Military aid. And here's really the question. 2.2 million Palestinians are homeless. A lot of them under a lot of stress on the West Bank. These are all just folks in Gaza. There's probably many more. Their families, relatives, friends in that region. These are over 2 million people that have nothing to lose. That's going to become a problem. First, shooting happened in Jerusalem. I didn't really track it down to see if that was a Palestinian person shooting other Palestinians, Christians, Jews, or not. But you have over 2 million Palestinians that there's not a country, entire area has been demolished with U.S. supplied bombs, U.S. funded mainly bombs and munitions. These are 2 million people that have nothing to lose. And that's bad things happen when people, they lost hope a long time ago. They have now nothing to lose. When I bring AJ back on, Agent Rasamni, he's familiar with that part of the world. I'm going to ask him what his opinion is. So AJ, if you're listening, pay attention because I'm going to put you on the spot. This is Unfiltered, and ask you, what do you think these 2 million folks are going to do in that part of the world? Okay. Israel targets Hamas leadership and military strikes on another country, Qatar. That happened, I think, today. And Trump says he promises Qatari leaders that such thing will not happen again on their soil until it happens next time. Whatever Israel says. I think most folks in government, federal government, have to make sure whatever Israel says, make sure they're following it closely. Courts keep striking down California laws infringing on free speech. And also, here's SB 771 authorizes civil penalties against large social media platforms that knowingly or recklessly contribute to violations of existing state civil rights laws through their algorithmic content delivery system. Henry Stern is the Democrat state senator from Calabasas in office since 2016, who is the author of that. Despite the setbacks, California politicians seem bent on trying to influence what residents can be told via social media and the internet. Bill McEwen has got a comment on that. Bill?
So, Darius, thank you. What we're seeing in California from many members of the Democratic Party is they believe in free speech and civil rights as long as they get to define it. And so we've passed legislation in California in recent years involving restricting gun rights, also restricting free speech. And the reality is that federal courts are knocking these laws down. And my prediction would be that if SB 771 passes, it will be knocked down too, because all you have to do is read the text. You don't have to be a Supreme Court justice to know that it's in complete violation of federal law. We have a federal law that says media platforms are protected from liability from third-party content. And that is what this law proposes to do, to go the other way. You need to know that SB 771 is sponsored primarily by pro-Israel groups, and its intention is to chill criticism about the war. And in America, we have free speech, and we're allowed to have our views, however smart or however stupid they may be. And for me, it's pretty clear. You either believe in free speech or you don't. And we have a very clear definition of where free speech ends. It's about yelling fire in a crowded theater. Anything else? It's up to the people to decide. And that brings me to my other point. For our democracy to succeed, we have to have engaged citizens who actually take the time to know what's going on, take the time to know the Constitution, take the time to build up their own bullshit detector and use it against various politicians, both sides of the aisle, use it against stuff that comes in the mail, use it when you're scrolling through Facebook. I mean, the amount of fake news on Facebook is unbelievable. Our Valley hero, Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills, and wasn't he great Monday night and rallying the Bills to that fantastic victory? Well, he gave a large gift to his hometown of Firebaugh. That area, Darius, is near and dear to you, Firebaugh and Mendota. You're involved in philanthropic efforts there. I'm sure you're glad to see what Josh Allen was doing. I go on Facebook and there's a post that said, oh, the money came from an Arab sheik.
Okay.
It didn't come from Josh Allen. I mean, my goodness, even the, best-hearted thing that a person could do in this atmosphere gets shot down. Well, it's up to us to have the tools and the knowledge so we can participate in our democracy and be effective. And it's up to some of us to stand for public office and run because they want to make things better, like Mike has done, like Nick has done. and like AJ is trying to do, and what he's trying to do with his Blackstone Merchants Association. And with that, I'll get off my soapbox.
That was a great explanation, by the way, Bill, on SB 771. So it sounds like Henry Stern is also following, hey, just get another bill in. We're going to call it something else, but it's really to chill any criticism of Israel on social media. Henry Stern from Calabasas, basically getting a bill in to support and to restrict free speech in support of Israel. Bill, question: is it United States of Israel or America? Or America.
Well, based on what we're allowing Israel to do, you might say, yeah, the United States of Israel, because to me, attack on a country that is one of our allies, a country that has our military installations there.
You
And
mean
the other
Qatar?
thing,
You're talking about Qatar?
guitar, yes.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I know I'm old. I'm going to be having my 72nd birthday pretty soon. Uh, I studied World War II and the like. And I remember a time when, during World War II, you didn't go out and kill another country's leaders, as bad as they were, because you wanted to be able to negotiate a peace. And to me, this thing that we're going to go out and attack and kill whoever we want, one, it's immoral, it's unethical, and again, it breaks with norms. And, if the United States can't stand up to Israel and say, hey, we support your country, we recognize your history, we want to be your ally, but you've gone too far. And the in chief of the most powerful army and navy and fighting ground forces in the world can't say, hold on here, you've gone too far. What does the world come to? When you look at that situation, someone that would say, hey, we're now the United States of Israel, they wouldn't be wrong.
They, they are, most politicians in Congress, and I have several friends, are very scared of saying anything against Israel. In fact, they know you want to be in Congress, you better be bowing, putting an Israeli flag inside your office, outside your office, in the hallway. Code Pink talks about that on their social media. And it sounds like our state senator, Henry Stern, wants to limit what Code Pink, by the way, a group of white Jewish American women are talking about the atrocities that Israel is partaking in the Gaza Strip, which is so against humanitarian values, human values, and especially American values. But we found it. President Trump not going to say anything. He's probably as afraid. President Biden was really afraid. So it doesn't matter. It's across party lines. So, uh, is there a legislation to change the name of our country to United States of Israel? Do you know that? I'm going to ask
Okay.
Nick Richardson when he comes on, because I know he's been in the military at some point. Okay, let's move on. We have a lot to cover. Bill, you have the next topic. Something can be done about this.
Okay, so we've seen the rise of sexual abusers in our public schools and in private schools. I mean, sometimes there's 2 or 3 stories a week, right, about an arrest made in a local public school. Sometimes they're coaches, sometimes they're teachers, sometimes they're the groundskeepers. Uh, what we know about sexual abusers is they gravitate to jobs in which they can groom victims, in which they'll be close to their victims. 16 other states have a database that contains the employment history of people that work in schools. And so what we have in states that don't have the database, we have a policy, it's called pass the trash. So let's say a principal hears rumors about a teacher, and the principal investigates and he finds them to be mostly true. And he goes to the teacher and says, well, I could report this to the police or you could resign. So usually they resign and then they move on to a neighboring school district. Under this bill, any kind of resignation and that type of thing would have to be reported on the database. Obviously, any arrest or legitimate accusation would have to be on the database. And, this is a common sense bill. And in the California legislature, they always brag that I'm full time, we're the best legislature in the United States. Well, they come up with all these nonsense bills every year. Why haven't we had this database bill like 15 years ago to protect the kids and the families in our public schools? So I'm hoping it passes, and I'm hoping it doesn't get too watered down. We're going to keep track of it on GV Wire.
Great. Thank you, Bill. Let's talk about gas prices going up to $8.
Okay, so we know we got two refineries scheduled to close in California. We already have a gas shortage here. It's mainly about refinery capacity. There are economists that say with these refineries closing, the price of gas in California could go to $8 to $10 a gallon. Uh, Stan Ellis, he's a Republican who represents the Bakersfield part of the valley in the state legislature. He held a video news conference and talked all about it. We have the story on GV Wire, and we also have the video of Mr. Ellis's comments.
Thank you, Bill. Garnet Fire in Sierra National Forest grows 55,000 acres impacted. Has burnt basically. 2,200 personnel and fire workers working towards 14% containment. And then that's a picture of what that looks like from I believe it's from Huntington Lake.
So Darius, I took that picture Sunday. I was out there. This is the time of year when they start drawing the lake down. You have to pull your boats out of their slips. I was out there to pull the boat out of the slip. That's the picture I took about 10 o'clock Sunday morning at Huntington Lake. The water is bluer than that. I also took a picture in which it looked like the sun was poking through overhead, and it looked like a total lunar landscape. Smoke was very heavy. We know the fire is getting closer to Shaver Lake, but good weather the last couple days. They've made some gains there. And I sent Nancy Price up there to get the reactions of people that live in Shaver Lake. I mean, they've been through the creek fire. Now they have another major fire, and we'll have that story up in a day or two.
Awesome, Bill. I didn't know you took that picture. That looks pretty cool. Okay.
Well, I'm a journalist. Have camera, will travel.
Love that. Smoke shops. Fresno Tobacco Shop regs up in smoke. Judge hears arguments on both sides. And with that, I'm going to bring in Council President and co-host Mike Grabasi. Mike just got out of a meeting, and he's joining us via his electric vehicle. Good evening, Mike. And I'm going to also bring Nick Richardson, council member that representing Northeast Fresno. Good evening to both of you, gents. Mike, I don't know if you have anything hot. I'm going to talk to you about this thing that allows people to build 4-story apartments without any public review or any public hearing. The city of Fresno wants to do that on anybody's property if it's its own office. I want to talk to you guys, both of you guys, about that. But anything on smoke shops? I mean, why are we restricting smoke shops? I know it can't be illegal smoke shops, but what's behind that? Can you kind of walk us through that, both of you gentlemen?
Yeah, thanks, Darius. And of course, I'm really happy that Councilmember Richardson's here tonight, because this is something that he's very passionate about. And he and I even met with the folks in Clovis, and he really led that effort to look and see what Clovis is doing, because they created a program that ensures compliance. Remember the Responsible Neighborhood Market Act, Darius, many years ago?
Yes.
It was going to stop. This is, I think, my first term. It was going to stop the single sales of alcohol and get rid of all the bad actors in Southwest Fresno. And it turns out they're all still there. It was all for show. I think the intention, in my opinion, speaking for myself, was good. The problem is the plan that was created, it promised more than it can deliver. It's not actually going to shut smoke shops down. The bad actors are shut down using the current legal process, the MORPO process. We had two in Clovis that have been shut down, one of them using that normal process that we have. This to me created more layers, and I'm sure Councilman Richardson can chime in on this, but what Clovis does is actually get them to be compliant, because the current plan creates a lottery system, much like the cannabis plan that we have in Fresno. The problem is that bad actors and good actors are both thrown in the lottery system. So we're going to automatically shut businesses down that don't make the cut. And it has nothing to do with whether they're good or bad. It's luck of the draw. And that is pretty flawed in my opinion. But Councilman, if you have any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear your take.
Absolutely. Thanks, Council President. Mr. Semi, great to be here. 2.5 years.
Nick,
been looking forward to
good
coming on
evening.
the show.
Okay.
So to Councilmember Carbassi's point, it's absolutely right. The current program that Clovis has in place does a few things. One, it gives the tools to the city, specifically city law enforcement and city code enforcement, to be able to go into a city licensed business and enforce the terms of that license. Currently, just like our bars have, with a state issued ABC license, the state has to come in and revoke that from the business. So if you have a tobacco license or something of that nature from the state, that would require the state to come down and be the executing authority. With something like a city managed and a city issued tobacco retailer license, this gives the tools to the city to make sure that businesses are living up, carrying their part of the load, contributing legally to society and to our economic activity. We need that as a city. Now, unfortunately, the ordinance that was put in place, I believe that was late April, early May when that was voted on. It was conveniently voted on while I was executing my military duty and out of the country. What this does is you picture a multiple choice test on a Scantron, and you know that B is the right choice. But what was done on the city council is they picked A, right? When B was a tobacco retail license, option A was his conditional use permit with this ordinance. Well, now what we have attempts to achieve is to also go in and fill in B. Well, you fill in two answers, it's still wrong. It doesn't matter that you got the right answer later on. So I was actually lucky enough to have a meeting this morning with some advocates from the American Cancer Society, and they said, look, this isn't achieving what we want. Obviously, there are some legal issues with what went on, as we've seen right now with the previous report about the judge's ruling or the hearing of deliberations. A tobacco retail license, just like we've seen in Clovis, is going to give us the tools as Fresno without coming in being too heavy-handed and as government, artificially shutting down legally operating businesses, rewarding potentially randomly businesses who have been breaking the rules, who need to be held accountable, and effectively not having the result that they want in controlling the way these smoke shops do business. So it's day late, dollar short with this thing. Hopefully, rational minds will prevail, and we can put in something in the future that looks like Clovis's or other cities' effective models.
Got it. I'm going to ask Mike a question. So basically, you guys are looking, Mike and Nick, you guys are looking at introducing new legislation after this court hearing, or are you hoping that the court hearing will give some clarity on what can you open up a smoke? Let me back up. Isn't the smoke shops are restricted now, right? So what's going to happen, going forward? If I'm a business entrepreneur and I want to open up a smoke shop, can I do that in the city of Fresno, or do I have to go to Clovis? Do we know? Mike, you're on mute. Mike, you're on.
Nick, feel free to chime in here too, Nick. I don't know if they're necessarily restricted yet. The plan is you have to get a CUP, and there's only which is a conditional use permit. Liquor stores get that. Businesses selling alcohol get that, for example. And there will be a lottery system which hasn't started yet. So I don't think people will be opening smoke shops in Fresno. But back to Councilmember Richardson's point, is bad actors are also part of that process now.
Got it. Bill, do you have any comment on this? Because I want to go to Mike and Nick about what's going on in this week's, what's coming up tomorrow. It's Thursday, 2 days. Do you have any?
So I just wanted to ask, I mean, it's going to take a while for the court to rule. In addition, the Smoke Shop Association has a trial date. I think it's all the way in 2027. Does that afford you the time to win over your colleagues on the council and replace the previously passed legislation with your ideas?
Nick?
Yeah, I'll speak to this one, Bill. So there's always an opportunity within the city to do what's called a repeal and replace. There's always a chance that we can go through and fix previous, maybe inaccurate or ineffective pieces of legislation. There is never a wrong time, or there's never a time that's not really applicable. So we could always do that. Applying, in my opinion, some sort of additional tobacco retail license or additional restriction on top of the ordinance that was already passed would be what we like to call a hat on a hat.
Got it. Thank you both for that. If there's nothing else on this, Mike, I want to talk to you about one of the items that's on the city council on Thursday. So we're actually forecasting the future, folks. And Mike Rarbasi is going to give us a little preview, and I'm sure Council Member Richardson will chime in. Tell us, if I got a piece of property and a zoned office, can I just go out and build a 4-story apartment, even though there's
So,
homes next door to it? Is that what the city of Fresno is going to vote on Thursday?
So what you're referring to is the office to residential text amendment, and there's two components to that. Now that item has been moved, from what I understand, it will not be on, I'm gonna tell you right now, it will not be on Thursday's agenda. It has been moved to a later
Okay.
date. I don't have that date yet.
Okay.
The problem is I can only comment to what I've said on the official record. It is a quasi judicial item. I hate using that term. It means that we act as judges. I have to have an open mind. So when the item comes back, I can look at all the information on the record and make a decision. What I can tell you, I can share with you the concerns I laid out during the last hearing. One of the concerns is people don't realize, basically, here's in a nutshell. You have an existing office building. You would be able to convert that to residential. You have a piece of vacant land zoned for office. You'd be able to convert that to residential without a normal rezone process that has certain noticing requirements. Now, there were two components. One was the text amendment itself. The other one was the ministerial side. That means it doesn't necessarily automatically go to your council member for a vote or the planning commission. It goes to the city's planning director, whoever that person is, which is an unelected, it's an appointed position. And my concern was this is a fundamental power shift. We have two pieces of authority as council members. And we have a strong mayor system. There's checks and balances. One is budget, which we do every year. And the other is land use decisions, rezones, CUPs, like with the smoke shops being other decisions we make. And my concern is why are we giving more authority and transferring that automatically to the administration and taking that power away from the elected city council? It's more of a fundamental issue. This isn't against the current mayor, or future. It's just a systematic shift. And that was one concern I had.
So some people say it will make it easier to build more units, increase supply. I mean, even if it's an apartment complex next to a residential 4-story apartment complex, who cares? You're increasing supply of more apartments, more residential units, high density apartments, right? Because it has to be high density for it to be approved automatically. So, right? Is that correct?
Well, what passed at the council, and it has to have two readings, what passed last time was they removed the ministerial portion. That's why I supported it. But it still allows, without going through the long, lengthy rezone process, there's still a pathway to convert office land to residential. There's two. What you got to remember one thing though. If you're within 500 feet of a school, that's a buffer zone. So those lots are exempt. But for the other lots, look, I'm not saying we shouldn't have large high density buildings, but this is the highest density on residential multifamily, not RM1 and 2, RM3. That's what came up during the hearing.
For the audience, what does RM3 mean? Is that rally, motorsports? What does RM stand
Residential
for?
multifamily.
Okay,
Like
thank you.
O is office, for example.
Got it.
Residential
Okay.
multifamily. There's 1, 2, and 3.
So you
One
can
being
build, this one is, I'm sorry, high density apartments can be built in place of office anywhere in town. Is that correct? Without
as
letting
long
the
as it's not
neighbors
within
know.
500 feet of a school. Yes.
So long as it qualifies for that, I can, as a developer, hey, I got some piece of property, it's office is not doing well, and I can just come in and make it a 4-story apartment building and not even tell the neighbors. and not get their feedback. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was another thing that came up in the hearings. I don't want to talk too much in detail about that, but
I
the
know
other
you can't.
issue,
Yeah, you guys can't
yeah,
talk. Was it quasi judicial?
quasi-judicial, meaning we act as judges. The other thing that
Okay.
came up during the hearing was residents expressed the same concern you had, because a lot of residents that live in Northwest Fresno, for example, kind of had a rezone happen to them. It was done legally, but they didn't know about it. And they're like, well, if you do it this way, we're really not going to know about it. And the thing is, the process, the other folks that were supportive of ministerial made a good point to say, hey, you know what? The council member still has the ability to appeal. However, I know politicians and how they work. You take the automatic process away from them, they can say, oh, I didn't know, or oh, they play games. I've seen politicians do it in the past. It happened in my district. And I inherited the problem. I don't trust the system. There's a reason why we have layers there. There's a reason why we have public review. And taking that away is a very, very powerful thing. I know we're in a housing crisis, but I'll tell you, I think a lot of the builders in this town don't even build RM3 products. They don't build that product.
So
So why they're advocating for it, I don't know.
yeah, four-story apartments by and large. Actually, this is my opinion. It's not fact, but we build apartments. We build 2 and 3-story apartments. I know there's other apartment developers only build 2-story apartments. The folks that build 3 and larger and taller typically are downtown, typically, and most of them developed by housing authority. Nick Richardson has got a comment. Nick.
Yes, sir. So to Mike's point, based on the comments that we've already made on the dais, right? We are absolutely northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. I don't think there's a single council member up there who doesn't feel like we need more housing options in Fresno. The issue is not we don't want housing. The issue is not we don't want housing in our area. The issue is very much, and I think, Council President Carbasi and I phrase this a little differently, but you can ask any of the developers who's built in District 6 since I've been there, and most of my constituents as well. Nothing goes on in District 6 is going to affect the way you live or what your neighborhood looks like without you being directly at the table. So I bring my constituents in, and to one of the developers' credit, they made a ton of changes based on a conversation I sat them down with, I sat my constituents down with, and they got to explain their concerns right there face to face, cutting out the middleman. I like that. I want that to continue. That's what I would want my elected officials to do. And if you take away, not necessarily my authority, but my ability to play glorified telephone operator and put the decision makers directly in front of the decision affected, if you take away my ability to do that, I'm not a fan of that. Yes, I want houses. There are some great spots in District 6 for commercial, but there are some great places in District 6 for housing. But if you're going to come and bring chicanes or apartments or single family homes or whatever else, you're going to sit and talk to my bosses, the constituents of District 6, as opposed to just sitting and talking to me flipping a coin downtown at City Hall and making a decision on this. I don't want to approve anything that's going to take that decision away.
I can tell you there's several very positive heart emojis coming when both of you guys were talking about that. Then why is the Mike, Council President Carbasi? Then why are you guys driving this? I mean, maybe it's not you guys. Why is the city
No,
of
we're not
Fresno? Why are you
we're not
driving
driving
to
this.
get this, to take that opportunity away from constituents to sit down with their council members and go, hey, that developer wants to put this stuff over here. I mean, why are you guys doing that? I don't understand it.
I think you're muted, Nick. Nick, you're
Nick,
muted. Let's do it again.
is it
All right.
Nick?
Mr. Semi, we both voted no on that. We're not.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then why is that? Who's driving that?
I think administration is very supportive. Um,
But that
you know,
means that the Dyer administration wants more these conversions, just without neighborhood feedback.
and this is just my thought. Um, I think if I was a strong mayor, I'd want to do anything to weaken the council, and this weakens the council. So why wouldn't any mayor support this? It's not about it being good policy; it's a fundamental power shift. And I think Nick said it best. We do work for the people, and it's really hard for us to support something, no matter what it is, that takes authority out of the hands of the people, and we represent them. And he's right. There have been so many. The Valley Teen Ranch in my district, for example, they came in, controversial project. It's great project. and they met with the residents and mitigated they made fundamental expensive changes to the project for the residents. I was able to do that because I'm the council member. That authority will be taken away, and I think Nick said it very well. It's hard to
Well,
support something that does that.
well, you got another heart emoji as you were speaking. Cam Malloy says I call BS. Residents, aka voters, have a right to know what is being built next to them and having input. I know she's a Northeast resident. We're gonna move on to the next topic, which is the Blackstone Avenue lane closure. But before that, Bill, did you have a comment?
Thank you, Darius. I just wanted to ask, well, actually twofold. The common complaint I get from people is the city's notification policy doesn't extend far enough. In other words, the planning department goes to the letter of the law. Someone across the street may not get a notice, even though it affects them. So is this something that either Mike or Nick would bring up? And then my second question, though, is part of the reason California has a housing shortage is NIMBYs, not in my backyard types, have been able to use CEQA or showing up at City Hall to block legitimate projects. I saw Mike roll his eyes on that one a little bit. It's a real
I'll tell you why.
concern. I mean, there's a reason why California has a housing shortage, and NIMBY power is part of it. I'm not saying it's the main part.
Right.
I would say abuse of CEQA, which has now
Yes.
been, the state has tried to do something about it. I just want to get your reaction on notification. Can the city do a better job? And what do you do about NIMBYs?
Let me tell you why I rolled my eyes, Bill. You're right. I was thinking about the Costco because it wasn't people in the neighborhood that you weaponized CEQA to stop it. It was someone from outside for some whatever agenda. So that's why I rolled my eyes. I'm thinking, oh
Was
yeah.
that Madeira, Mike? Was that
No, it wasn't.
Madeira
No,
putting in a
I don't think it.
plant?
IT supervisor when I'm off. It was not Madeira though.
Okay.
He's not stealing my Costco.
Okay.
No, Bill, you do make a good point about NIMBYs. The problem is when the folks showed up and protested at the council meeting, there were those that don't live in the neighborhood they live in saying, "Oh, you're just a bunch of NIMBYs." No, they had legitimate concerns about the process. But yes, there is a level of NIMBYism, of course. You're right, that does exist. But the weaponization of CEQA, I've noticed, again, my opinion, it's a lot of the activists that aren't elected that are funded by foundations like the Kresge Foundation and other groups from outside even the state. And they're the ones that have weaponized CEQA. And that is a big problem, unfortunately. It's led to a lot of problems. You're right.
Okay, a couple of quick comments, and we're going to move on. Myrna Navarro Garcia, she meant deals are cut behind closed doors. People want to be involved and want to design their city. I think basically what the two of you gents are talking about. Nick, you have a comment on that?
No, exactly. And to Mike's earlier point, I don't see it so much as a power grab from the council. I see it more as somebody downtown Fresno thinks that they know your neighborhood better than you do, and they know what's best for you, and they're going to do it. And I can tell you, as soon as a politician comes to you and tells you that they know your neighborhood and your community better than you do, close the door. They're full of it.
Who who in their right mind would support something like this? I mean, I understand the mayor is supporting it, but I mean, who's driving this? Anybody particular that you guys can disclose? Or do we have to watch the council meeting on Thursday or read GV Wire Thursday night or Friday morning to find out who the driver
You can go
was
look at all the
behind it?
previous agendas and see who the sponsors of every single item are.
Right. And it won't be on Thursday. Again, this item will not be on this Thursday.
Okay. Can I ask then an objective question? I'm not asking a quasi-judicial question. Who is the sponsor of this bill?
I think I know what you're getting at. I don't know if it was the department or an individual council member.
Okay.
But if you look at the voting record, I believe it was just Councilmember Richardson. Oh, so there was a modified version. So Councilmember Esparza made the motion to support it, but remove the quasi-judicial component. And I seconded it, and then Councilmember Richardson also, of course, spoke up. We supported him, and there was one more member, Councilmember Vang. The four of us supported a modified compromise motion that removed ministerial.
You're very that was a very smooth answer because you didn't answer my question, counselor. No, council member.
Politicians never answer your question. Come on now. No.
Okay, so
Um,
we'll have to find out. We'll read GVY to find out who's
yeah.
driving this bill to remove people from giving feedback to housing in their backyard. Okay. Myrna Navarro Garcia, follow the
Hmm.
money. Okay, let's keep moving on. Cam Malloy has a question. What is the update on Costco, Mr. Council President
Yeah.
Karbasi?
So I want to make it clear. We had a ruling from the judge, and of course, it wasn't a slam dunk for the city. There are things that have to be done. We are very committed. The mayor and the council is very committed to keeping Costco in Fresno wherever it shall be. Those are good jobs. It's very critical for our tax base. I do hope it's at the same site, and hopefully there'll be an announcement soon. But we are working with Costco, and we want to follow the law and make this happen.
It's just a last mile delivery because Costco was going to have a delivery center there that will deliver to within a mile or two,
Mhm.
correct? And that's
Yeah.
why what it got
One of the
hung
big
up.
reasons. Yeah, one of the big
Well,
reasons that the environmental document was not sufficient to cover that. We believe at the city this was an accessory use. It wasn't the main use. The court disagreed with that. And there was also another mention of some inconsistencies in our greenhouse gas emissions study. So those are things that we'll have to work through. And I hope there's a pathway we could be compliant with the law and preserve all those jobs. And I think there's a way forward. I'm optimistic.
so
And
basically,
no, Jordan, you're not getting my Costco. For my good friend Supervisor Wamoff.
that's very cool. It obviously shows your close relationship with
Yeah.
Supervisor Wamoff. Let me ask this. So it was mainly, I want to make sure the audience knows because there's a lot of questions around that Costco in North Fresno because everybody wants it, except of course the people that are maybe immediately live around it.
Yeah, yeah,
But
that's a good point. Originally, the neighborhood was very opposed to it, and over years, in fact, when Costco came, when we came, they met with me before they submitted any paperwork. I said, go meet with the neighborhood. I gave them the name of different organizations that have connections in that neighborhood. They met with the neighborhood. They met with the city, of course. They met with the golf course, Riverside. They met with Central Unified. And they took what was a negative and, like a good developer, made the effort to build support. And for the most part, they did that. They weren't sued from the neighborhood. They were sued from someone who doesn't live in the neighborhood, from an attorney from San Luis Obispo. So what
can
did
you
someone say?
disclose
Follow the
that
money.
name? Can you disclose their name?
I
I
mean,
don't
I
want to
don't
get you
think
in trouble. I don't want to
I
get you
don't
in
think
trouble.
it's against the rules. There was a certain coalition, and I believe the lead of that coalition is Daniel Brannick, and he went on the record commenting about it. So I can release the name.
That's a local person, right? That
He's a local
represent.
person. Yes.
He's a consultant for some school districts,
I don't
stuff
know.
like that. Okay, you don't know
He
that. Okay,
used to
that's
go to
okay.
the West area meetings. I don't know.
Got it. That's unfortunate. Cam Malloy says we need to keep the jobs and tax base for Costco here in Fresno. Keep it in the same location if at all possible. I know, Mike, you've been driving that. So just again, the main issue was this Costco will also deliver. When it said Costco delivers, this Costco was going to deliver to the neighborhood, to within a few miles. Is that
Correct.
correct?
The last mile delivery kind of a
The
thing.
last
Yes.
mile delivery, which is
Yeah.
kind of pretty cool. Okay,
Yeah.
let's move on. Anything else on any of these topics, Mike or Nick?
There's one thing I'd like Councilmember Richardson to talk about. So, of course, he is our only veteran on the council. There are times he is called to serve and he wants to do his job, but the laws do not permit him to remotely come in unless you're ill. Of course, he's not ill. He's serving our country. And we talked about a recent vote he had to miss, not out of choice, but he's serving our nation. There is a statewide bill being pushed through the legislature to hopefully change that. Maybe if you can comment about that and kind of make folks aware of that.
Councilmember Richardson?
Absolutely. Thanks for pointing that out. So the current drafting of the Brown Act is very specific on what kind of public comment can take place and what kind of remote participation can take place from the elected officials. In my opinion, if we have people who are in the reserves and the National Guard are still passionate about serving their country and somehow also simultaneously get elected to a public office, I think that's great. I would love to have more folks who are dedicated to serving both locally and federally at the same time. Maybe I'm biased. I don't know. I think it would be fantastic, at least to afford that opportunity. Doesn't allow it. Now here's the catch. The Brown Act its sunset date is early 2026. So it has to be rewritten with whatever new stuff they want to put in there to allow it to continue after early 2026. Well, this seemed like the perfect opportunity, as far as I was concerned, to put something in there that said, hey, as opposed to just being sick or just having transportation issues or just being unable to find childcare, which are current allocations in there for remote participation, why don't we put something in there that says, hey, if you're on duty, some sort of duty to the country or to the state that require you to be outside of your jurisdiction, out there doing God's work somewhere, whether you're in an office, you're out in the field, you're in a Humvee, whatever it is, if you have the ability to phone in and remotely participate in still being a decision maker for your city, why don't we allow that in the Brown Act? So luckily, there was actually a state senator, Rubio, if I'm not mistaken, from Southern California, who began the drafting of a Senate bill that was going to make this happen. So Senate Bill 707, I believe, is what's currently happening. They asked me, we talked through some lobbyists, some local elected officials, some state officials, to see if there was any way we could have any sort of impact from the city level in getting this done. So I've written a letter of support. We have other individuals, local elected officials at echelons above mine who have written letters of support. It'd be really cool if even from the city level, we were able to take a step, affect state policy, and allow our veterans or currently serving military officials, not active duty, but reserve and National Guard, to be able to take part in civic discourse, sit in elected office, and remotely participate in the Brown Act. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. I'm ambitious about it, but I've never had any attempt at changing state law before. So, maybe it's rose-colored glasses, but hopefully for myself, other uniformed service members, this could be something really positive going forward.
Awesome. We're going to quickly move on because our main topic is right in front of us. I got a quick question for Nick, and then Bill, I think, has a quick comment. And Nick, you've served the military and the armed forces. Do you see, I mean, are folks in the military high up, anytime they want to make a decision that relates to the Middle East, do they have to check with like Israeli government?
So I don't know how high ranking you think my friends are in the military. The highest ranking person I interact with on a common basis is one rank above me is lieutenant colonel.
Well, that's pretty high. Okay.
Well, I can tell you this. We have ongoing partnerships and participation with countries that you wouldn't even think of around the world. Like I was working with our friends in Tunisia earlier this year, where counterparts of mine were in Brazil, some were in Denmark, some were in Canada. I can tell you that U.S. policy decisions are not made anywhere close to my echelon. And being that I'm still in the military, I'm going to be careful that I'm not overstepping my bounds here. But I don't think there's a single country in the world who affects our foreign policy decisions with enough gravity to change us from doing a 100% yes to a 100% no, or vice versa.
Got it. Let me leave it at that. Cam Malloy says, I support Nick Richardson. She's one of your constituents, by the way. And I support Nick Richardson 100%, being able to remotely participate while serving our country. For goodness sake, this should be common sense. Well,
yeah, that's my boss right there.
Okay. Say that again, Nick.
Yeah, that's my boss right there. She's one of my 80,000 bosses.
Okay, there you go. Awesome. Bill, quickly, and then we're going to move on to the main topic. Bill, you're on mute.
So for everybody's benefit, Senate Bill 707, it was introduced by Senator Durazo, and co-authors are Arambula, a Democrat out of Fresno, and Vince Fong, a Republican out of Bakersfield. So it has bipartisan support. That's a good thing. The bill is still alive. It was amended a little bit in July. So it won't get done this session, but I would see something happening,
Okay.
when they fire up again.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill. House Toasty, it's usually legislators on certain committees that have the power to call up generals and make orders. APAC legislators, referring to the Israeli Public Affairs Committee. Anyhow, okay. Let's move on to our main topic, which is what's going to happen to Blackstone Avenue. Let's pull up, gosh, there's so many slides to show. Let's start with slide 26. Actually, let's go to 26, please. There we go. The red signifies parts of Blackstone that are going to get a road diet or what we call a lane closure. Lanes from it's Blackstone is going to go from 6 lanes to 4 in that segment. There's an article that came out this afternoon by Edward Smith. Um, what a series of articles. This is the first of a series of articles explaining what's going on, who's behind it, who's supportive of it. So that's basically the section. Now let's go to one of the cross sections, um, which is, let's put up slide 23. And basically, I mean, it looks really good from this cross section. Instead of having 6 lanes of travel, you have 2 lanes in one direction, 2 lanes in the other direction, and you have a left and a right. That's showing an intersection basically. That's why you have 4 lanes going on the right side of the screen. But by and large, Blackstone Avenue will lose 1 lane in each direction from Dakota down to 180, or sounds like around the Belmont area. And the second part of this conversation, I'm going to bring in AJ Rasamni, who's going to be talking about Blackstone merchants and their feedback. But so you know, this article talks about why this is going on, who's driving it. So slide 25 puts on the sponsor or the motion made to drive this was Council Member Nelson Esparza, who's, I think, Blackstone Avenue. This section of Blackstone Avenue is his district, and seconded by Council Member Esmeralda Soria, former council member, now state assembly member, and I think she's running for state senate. And then Scott Mosier has got some great comments. I'm going to start off by reading Scott's comments. Blackstone would function just fine with 2 lanes in each direction rather than 3 in each direction. The purpose of the plan was to look at how to repurpose that space such that Blackstone, which has quite a number of narrow sidewalks, that it could have wider sidewalks. It does not have bike lanes today. It could add bike lanes. So the purpose is really to kind of replace vehicular traffic with bicycle lanes potentially, and or sidewalks. Again, going from 6 lanes down to 4. From what I understand, talking to Edward, is that this project could start as early as 2026. So, and then the final vote on that was, I think everybody voted for that. Well, it was Esparza, Soria, Arias, Capriola, Chavez, Gary Bredefeld at the time, going back to 2019, was absent that day or for that vote. So let me bring in both of our council members, Carbasi and Richardson, please. Mike, what can you tell us about? I know you were not in the city council when that vote was taken in 2019. Neither was Council Member Richardson. But what's the purpose of, and from your perspective, from both of your perspectives, Mike and Nick, to shrink Blackstone from 6 lanes to 4? We have a couple of comments, which we're going to put up here shortly, from some of the folks that Edward Smith interviewed today and yesterday. But what do you think? What is the purpose of, is it just to put more people on Blackstone Avenue so they can walk next to cars or cycle next to cars? Or what do you think is the purpose of doing that? And I have my own thoughts, which I'm going to share here in a few minutes.
I'll take a quick stab at it. I'm going to speak in general terms because it could be about a road diet anywhere in Fresno. And I think this is something that's going to be very unpopular with now that it's going to get out there, because we're getting close to actual implementation. It's going to be really unpopular with the businesses impacted. I think that there was a quote in the article that Edward wrote by one of the members of the Bicycle Coalition, and she said she doesn't expect people to use Blackstone. It is a major thoroughfare. It's an economic thoroughfare, and there's a concern there. It's the intersections they're worried about and they don't feel safe. I don't know how much this is actually going to get people onto Blackstone. My concern is there is an agenda that started this. It wasn't the council members. They may have carried it, but they didn't start this thing. And I'm sure you'll get into that a little bit, Darius. That was in the article. Um, but there is an agenda, and I think there are folks that talk about supporting multimodal transportation. What they mean is they don't want people in cars anymore. That's what that means. It's the same folks, same conversation as Measure C, same conversation last council meeting regarding the drive-throughs. It's all about getting people to use mass transit, whether they want to or not. And I drive an electric car. I don't produce emissions. 1 in 4 cars in California are EVs, and we'll deal with the consequences to our environment after. But the reality is, there are cars that aren't polluting in that respect. Yeah, that's still not good enough for some folks, and some of it stems from, well, I didn't have a car, so why should you have a car? And that's no way to govern. So looking at this, if the public won't support reducing Blackstone from 6 lanes to 4 lanes, and I don't think they will, why are we supporting it as a city? I look forward to the conversation when it comes to the council.
Great, thank you, Mike. Councilmember Richardson, any comments on this before we show our next video on Palm Avenue road diet?
Sure. Would you, if I could trouble you, would you mind pulling up that slide that had the statements from the motion, the second, and the
Yes.
the Public Works Director,
Let's
please?
pull that up, please. Let's pull up slide 25.
So right there, you can see in the comments, the second one from then council member, now Assemblywoman Soria, that as we revitalize, we need to find out how to establish some sort of plan. These small business owners aren't just put out of business, but we find better places for them throughout the city of Fresno. I don't want to move our small businesses. It doesn't really matter where they are. If you found a place and you can afford it and you can do business there, I want to keep you in a place where you can do business. And if the place where you're doing business isn't up to snuff and the city's not carrying its end of the bargain and helping you provide for yourself, provide for our economy, well, that's partially on the city. That's our job to make sure that that environment is better for you, not pick you up and drop you somewhere else and hope you thrive. Plans don't work that way. Why would a small business?
Great
I
point,
didn't catch that.
Mike.
I did not catch that. As a small business owner, that's pretty insulting. This isn't eminent domain like we're building some kind of very important bridge or overpass or underpass to save lives and grade separation. This is just saying we want it this way and we're going to move you. And that's not right. Government should never do that, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. These are people that have, for probably generations or decades, built a living. They may have even owned the buildings they're in, and interest rates are fairly high now. To expect them to get compensated and move out and refinance, this is the kind of stuff people that never have run a business would say, because they don't understand what goes into it.
Mike, some of my first thoughts, and there's a few comments coming in, is if you want to restrict access to a part of town, reduce car lanes. I mean, we're a car society, at least in California, in Central California. We don't, mass transit, unfortunately, does not work well here. I know Nick, Mike, Bill, and AJ, who's going to come on here in a few minutes. We've all traveled different parts of the world where mass transit works really well. It doesn't work well in Central California where we have low densities, unfortunately. And typically when you remove basically part of the artery or restrict the artery, you're trying to, I don't want to use the word suffocate, but you want to restrict access. So is this, City of Fresno trying to restrict access to downtown, or is it some folks I know use Blackstone Avenue on 41 at 5 o'clock is jammed. Some folks, I'm one of them, use Blackstone to go to downtown. Every Monday night, I go downtown for a variety of reasons. Yes, Mike.
These are the same people, in their wisdom, said, we don't want builders in Fresno. So the builders left, went to Madera, and created leapfrog development, which actually tears up our roads, increases emissions. Yet these people that pushed for that all want lower greenhouse gas emissions. This is all about a realignment of the way we live. I'm sorry, I get so worked up about it, because these are the people that act like they have all these solutions, they have it all figured out, and the people that pay the price are working families in Fresno.
Well, the other part of it, for environmental reasons, if I had kids, I wouldn't want my kids on a bicycle next to the busiest street in Fresno. I don't know who
Yeah.
came up with that idea, but I mean, bicyclists or people going for a walk on a beach. It's called the Blackstone beautification plan. Why would you want people to walk or cycle on the busiest street, most chance of accidents, most chance of greenhouse gases, and the cars that are spewing blue smoke? That's all going to go in the lungs of people. You put bicycle lanes or cycle tracks or nicer trails on Maroas of this world or on fruit, on smaller, less
Right.
traveled streets. You don't put it on the busiest streets. So uh, it's really, we're going to probably get more vocal. I'm going to get more vocal on this because Cam Malloy has a question. Is this a done deal? Even if the majority of Fresno doesn't support it, it sounds like it was, Cam, it sounds like this was passed in 2019 in some quiet council hearing, and nobody knew what it was about. And then
Well,
and then the funding got in place, and here we are.
I'm going to add this though. The council member for the area is someone I find to be very reasonable. I really want to see what his thoughts are before rendering any real decision on this. I'm a skeptic on road diets in general, especially on major corridors like Herndon or Blackstone or Kings Canyon or sorry, Cesar
Well,
Chavez
we actually
Boulevard.
we invited Councilmember
Yeah,
Esparza to join us tonight, and we did not hear back from his office.
right.
I know he's very passionate about the road
And
diet on Blackstone Avenue. You know what? We have a video. It's a very fast video on Palm Avenue, and I can't tell you our reporters how many calls they get about negative calls about why did the city council of Fresno and the mayor of Fresno shrink Palm Avenue, put a bicycle lane. You know who's using it? And we're going to show you a video on who's using it. Go ahead, Mike. Before we
before
show
we
the
do that,
video.
I apologize. Nick and I had a hard out at 7. We were going to be here for half an hour. I apologize. We have to take off, unfortunately.
Hold on. Well, you can stay. Watch this video before you
But
drop
watch the
off.
video. You got
Okay.
it.
All right.
There
Okay.
you go.
So
Good call,
so
Nick.
anyhow,
Nailed it.
that was a
There you go.
whether whoever was driving, and let's call it a bus and a bicycle lane on Palm Avenue. That
At
tells
least
you.
someone was using it.
Yeah, but at least someone was using it. People go, bicyclists are not using it. So it's a lane, it's paved. I'm paying taxes to maintain it. Might as well use it. I can see that happening more. I'm concerned about what's going to happen to Blackstone Avenue if one of the lanes is taken out. And on a heavy traffic day, and they're going to reduce the speed limit to 30. And there's a report I was reading that if you want more capacity on a road, reduce the speed to 30. There's some studies, by the way, we have our own studies because everybody's got their own study. Some studies that show, City of Fresno's study that shows 30 miles an hour increases capacity of a road. I'm interested in looking at all the data on that. I know you guys need to go. Let me see if there's any particular comments. House Toasty, I love these videos. This is local journalism. Thank you, House. Horatio Yakunde, thank you, Mike. House
Another
Toasty, yeah, it's like asking for potentially constant accidents. Blessed Doris. Inga Schlegel, that extra lane will be useful as high-speed rail. Okay.
oh, another question, Darius, to ask though is people are still going to drive. If the businesses aren't moved, they're going to have to get there. What other roads are they going to use instead of Blackstone? What congestion will that create in neighborhoods around there?
Cindy Clark, you can beautify the area and add small bike lanes, but who is going to walk or ride with record heat days, bad air quality, and public safety? Having grown up in the area, I would avoid it due to more traffic congestion. And here's the thing, if Blackstone, which a lot of folks used to commute, and occasionally pull in and buy something, maybe it's a Starbucks, if it becomes more congested, everybody's going to want to avoid Blackstone. Gents, before any other comments before you drop off, because I want to bring in AJ Rasamni, candidate for that area, to address, and also the head of the Blackstone Merchants Association to discuss this. Anything else from Mike or Nick?
Just want to wish everybody a peaceful and reflective September 11th coming up here. I know it'll be a big day for me and a lot of folks in this country. So that's all I had. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Nick. Mike,
Thank you.
any comments
Nope,
from you?
thank you for having us on. I appreciate that, Darius. We'll see you
Thank-
at 10. Our council meeting is starting at 10 a.m. because a majority of the council wants to attend the 9/11 commemoration ceremony in honor of all the victims at the that the Cook family puts on at the memorial
And
in Clovis.
in the city of Clovis. That's awesome.
City
Cool.
Clovis.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Thank
Thank you, Nick, for joining us.
you.
Hope to see you guys again soon.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, let's bring in AJ Rasamni, who is the AJ. Tell the audience actually quickly what you do on the Blackstone Merchants Association and what is your feedback on what the merchants are telling you about this lane closure on Blackstone.
Yeah, so I founded Blackstone Merchants Association in 2016 out of desperation from all the issues, the homelessness we had in the area. And since then it grew. It started from Ashland to Shields, but today it grew 8.5 miles of Blackstone. So I represent 400 businesses on Blackstone, business owners on Blackstone, and total of 3,000, that's including residents east and west of Blackstone.
Got it. And what is their comment on this road diet? And I want people to learn what the road diet means. The road is going to shrink.
Yes.
Okay.
But to be honest, I was asked yesterday to be on the show today, so I did not talk to them, but I'll give you my own opinion.
Okay.
So I like the project, but this is not right. This is not the right time for it. So where we want to build this project from Dakota South to Princeton, there are no businesses to encourage people to walk. The area is full of homeless people. So basically, if you widen the street, it's going to happen. The same thing happened downtown Fresno when we widen Fulton Street, widen the sidewalk. It's going to be a home for more encampment in the area.
Wait a minute. You said two different things. So if you widen the street and add more lanes, you bring more homeless, or you add the side. Hold on 1 second. Let me finish. Or if you widen the sidewalk, do you bring in more homeless?
That's what I meant. That's what I meant. If we widen the sidewalk, we're going to have more homeless people encamping there, and that's exactly what happened downtown Fresno, Fulton, and Kern. So let's take a drive down Blackstone, south of Dakota. You're going to see recently we had Walgreens that closed, Rite Aid that closed, and Pet Boys that closed recently because of the homeless issues. We have Pizza Hut been there closed for a long time. We have IHOP that's closed for a long time, and obviously Bobby Salazar. Plus, we have a lot more. So I like the project, but basically what we have to do, we need to fix the foundation first. So the first thing, we need to solve the homeless issue. It has to be solved. They have to be removed from the area. We have an example at Fulton Street, downtown. We spent $80 million, yet business aren't prospering. We have the homeless issue that we need to solve. This is the first issue that we need to solve, that the city is not giving a permanent solution for it. Band-Aid doesn't work. The second, you tell me how many businesses south of Dakota encourage people to go visit. You know, how many businesses that we have that's going to be walkable? People say, yeah, I want to go to that business. We have Starbucks. We have 3-4 fast food restaurants. That's it. Beside that, we have car dealership. We have smoke shops. We have mechanics. So we don't have anything to encourage people to walk there. So what we have to do, if you notice from 2016, since 2016, when it turned to RMX, mixed use, how many developers like you try to develop in that area? It's zero, unless it was free money. Unless it was free money from the government.
That's correct.
So we need to remove red tape to make it easier for developers to develop, because ultimately you don't make money, you're not going to do that project. But we also maybe need to give them tax incentives to do that too. So we need to find a solution, say, okay, we need to remove homeless, we need to develop the area, then we'll implement this project. My favorite place to walk, by the way, it's Brand Boulevard in Glendale. Very nice. It's basically the vision that the city has over here, but we don't have that infrastructure that they have.
Well, here's one of the cyclists, vice president of Fresno Cycling Club, regarding the South Blackstone Smart Mobility Strategy, Janet Lucido. She says, and I quote, "It's such a well-traveled street. I don't know why. I don't know how many people would actually ride it." I mean,
Absolutely.
and I'm a cyclist. I would not want to be anywhere near on the asphalt that's being shared or off the asphalt that's being shared on Blackstone, because I also know people are distracted. Let's put it that way. When they're driving, and the traffic is much higher on Blackstone than anywhere else, I would not want to be on Blackstone for the same reason that there's not a bicycle lane on Herndon, by the way.
Yes,
If it was one, I would not ride it. I don't want to take a
of
chance.
course,
Somebody is distracted, goes off, and will take me out.
of course.
Um,
So let me say
yeah.
something about bicycle lane. Let's look at Brand Boulevard and see what Glendale did. The people in that area, the residents
What's the name of that?
complained.
Say that again.
Brand, Brand, Brand Boulevard in Glendale.
Okay.
So the people, the residents, the voters did not like the bike lane, and now recently the city had it removed. So the bike lane should not be on a congested in a street. Let me give you an example. Let me give you a statistic, by the way. Do you know the intersection of Shields and Blackstone on both directions? There's about 100,000 cars every day. 100,000 cars that drive that area. How can you take it down to two-lane street?
Wow. That's really incredible. Bill McEwen has got a question and a comment, and then but before Bill, uh, AJ, first of all, were you interviewed by Edward Smith today on this
Yesterday.
article? Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Okay. So I haven't read the article yet. I'm sure there's something from you on that article. Uh, is there other folks in the merchants, Blackstone Merchants Association? Once you talk to them, is there a vice president? Is folks that represent the majority of the Blackstone besides you that can join us next week?
Of
Because
course.
this topic is not going to go away. We're going to find out when they're going to break ground. It sounds like it's early next year, but I want to get more feedback, and I want to get your feedback after you've talked to your folks, the other merchants, on their reaction to this. And we're going to probably want to hear from a few of them on this show next week. Okay,
Perfect. You
great.
give me
Bill?
let me say something. You give me the number of people you want to attend next week from the Blackstone merchants, and I'll get you those people. How many people you
Here,
want to attend?
well, here we would probably want one or two other people, but if you had a petition signed by several hundred of them that says we do not support this from here to here, whatever you guys want to do, we would if you had that, we would showcase that on this show as well.
Yeah, for me, I say again, I support the idea, but it is not the right time for it. We need to fix infrastructure first.
So you would support shrinking it down to 4 lanes?
Well, eventually, because if you go to Brand Boulevard, very, I mean, what's the word I'm looking for? A prosperous area. I mean, the street, it's unbelievable. So eventually, that's a vision, but it's not going to happen in 2030. We need to resolve the homeless issue. We need to remove the red tape, because to remove red tape, it's going to take the city years. I mean, it works very slow. We need to remove those red tape and give incentive to businesses to build. Let me give you an example before we go to bed. I've talked to a lot of merchants on Blackstone, their own property. They say, why would I build on Blackstone? If I buy property on Blackstone, let's say 1 acre is 1.2 million. If I buy it in Clovis is 600,000. If I build it, the cost is the same. But if I come to rent it out in Fresno, the average rent is 1,500. In Clovis, it's 2,500. So why would I build in Fresno?
You know what? You just explained Economy 101 without anybody having to go to college, take a finance class. You explained it beautifully in 1 minute. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. Bill, you have a comment?
Yes, Darius. Basically, you've kept saying that Blackstone's the busiest street in Fresno, and that might have been the case 10 years ago. Bullard Avenue is far busier. Even Nees Avenue carries more traffic than Blackstone. So from the standpoint of would 2 lanes be sufficient each way? I think
Uh,
Scott Mosier's right about that. Now, I don't know the reasons why the traffic has dropped so much on Blackstone, but obviously AJ's merchants, they know that the traffic has dropped because they struggle with their businesses. So it's going to be interesting to see what the city does. And the question is, if you do shrink it to 2 lanes each way, what's the best use for that extra space?
I'm gonna make a comment before we do. None of us here are traffic engineers, and there's an art and a science to this. The science is you do the counts, you find out how many folks. If AJ said Blackstone and Shields, he gets 100,000 cars going through, especially southbound on Blackstone. Hey, we design roads. Granville Homes does roads, traffic signals, how many lanes are needed. There's a science to it. You get a traffic study done. It tells you the number of lanes needed. There's another picture of Brand Boulevard in Glendale, by the way, that I just saw on the web. Looks pretty spectacular and pretty attractive. We can take the image off, but there's a science to it. You take the traffic count and you project what is the traffic going to be down, in the next 10, 15, 20 years. You don't go make a change for the next 4 or 5 years. You design for at least 20 years out. By the way, 15 years from now, 10 years from now, we won't be able to forecast the future of transportation over the next 10 to 20 years. We don't know if autonomous cars are going to be prevalent. We don't know if all of us are going to give up our cars and get into small cycle type cars. We don't know that. There's a lot of technological change coming. We do know that Californians are in love with their automobile, middle class, lower middle class, upper class, etc. But you go through a study. I'm not going to make a comment whether it should be 4 or 6 lanes or 8 lanes for that matter. But I do know you want to increase access and commerce, build the freeway, build the highway, bring more people, build a railway station. One of the reasons Northeast Clovis is so prosperous is because 168 went all the way from downtown Fresno, basically, to Northeast Clovis. If 168 didn't terminate, you wouldn't have that massive growth of housing right on the very edge of the city of Clovis, called Harlan Ranch. Several thousand homes, some number like that. And of course, the projects that Granville Homes builds. So anyhow, there's lots of comments coming in on this issue, too many to list. Christina Mansfield, just casually dangling press for petitions. Yes, we are actually. Let's see who's interested in supporting a 4-lane or 6-lane. We're going to probably, we do have a poll out. We saw the poll results earlier. Steve Richardson, AJ's pro-Trump and America first. Why is Jerry Dyer attacking AJ? You should get an urban planner on. Haas Toasty, great point. We requested several urban planners to join. We were not successful. It was a little bit a short notice, but hopefully we can get to that sooner than later. Has the business and traffic decreased on Blackstone due to the homeless issue? The question for you, AJ, has the business and traffic decreased on Blackstone due to the homeless issue?
Short answer is yes. So I've talked to a lot of people. I've talked to a lot of people who want to invest in Fresno on Blackstone. So when I take them to the area south of Ashland, they say, no, I don't want to invest in this area. This is a slump. So I've heard the word slump so many times. So people don't want to drive there, don't want anything to do with that area because of all the homeless issue and homeless shelters in that area.
Got it. Alex View, did AJ talk about these issues when the Blackstone plan was passed, which is back in 2019? Or is he only talking about it because he's a candidate? By the way, this is not an issue that AJ brought up. This is an issue that Edward Smith has uncovered and is exposed. By the way, GB Wire is here to let you know what's coming. We're predicting, forecasting the future of what's going to happen to Blackstone Avenue. And that's the beautiful thing with GB Wire and why we are the fastest growing local news source in, at least in North Fresno. No, I think Bill is going to laugh at me. He says, no, in Central California. But AJ, could you answer that Alex's question?
Yes. So the mixed use zone passed in 2016, and I wasn't really, I didn't have, I wasn't
No,
really
this was
involved in the
passed in,
community.
no, wait.
I
This was
know,
passed in 2019.
I'm getting there. So, but the
Okay.
mixed use passed in 2016 when I wasn't involved in the community. 2019, when they passed it in the city, I also really wasn't involved in that area. I was involved only between Shield and Dakota, between Shield and Ashland, working with the community in that area. So that wasn't something I knew that was happening, or I had more knowledge that I have today to talk about it.
So Alex View says he's a candidate for, tell our audience about your candidate.
Yeah, I am candidate for District 7, where Nelson Esparza is today. But also to
Which
answer the
is this
question,
section, which is this section
yes,
of Blackstone? Okay.
yes. But to answer the question maybe better, that I am an advocate since 2016 for the community, using my own resources and my own time. So it's not something that I decided to do today and run. I've been doing it for 10 years on my own, using my time and resources to represent the people of Blackstone and surrounding area, the residents as well.
Cindy Clark says AJ is spot on with his comments. Tony Molina, and we're, by the way, substantially over our time. Tony Molina says studies have shown that adding bicycle lanes and increasing walkability actually benefits local businesses and increases economic vibrance as they spend more than people who are just driving by their way across town. It's good comments by Tony. AJ, do you have any feedback to his
You
comment?
know, yes, not in a high traffic area. And again, we should study Brand Boulevard and Glendale and learn from them. So we shouldn't reinvent the wheel. We should find a successful city that implemented this and learn from them. And they canceled the bike lane.
So you support that comment or not?
I think I answered it. Is we shouldn't have bike lane on Blackstone because it's heavy traffic, and even I want to correct something. Maybe I said that I do support the project, but doesn't mean I support going down to 3 lanes. So I support the project that make it walkable, have businesses, maybe homes, houses on top of it, but I do not.
I'm confused now. You support the project, keep 6 lanes, and add a green belt, which means the
I
only
did
way
not
to do
say I
that, you
did
got
not
to
say
take
add a
out the
green belt.
businesses on
I
each
did not
side.
say I am not for the bike lane. I said I'm against the bike lane.
Oh, okay, so against the bike lane and keep the 6 lanes. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
But you support the project, which is taking out the lanes and adding bicycle lanes.
Well, I support part of a project, make it a walkable area. But like I said, before we do that, we need to create the environment that makes it possible.
Do you support, let me ask this, do you support putting bicycle or more pedestrian lanes next to Blackstone Avenue?
No bicycle lane, but make it walkable area. For me, it's copy Brand Boulevard. Let's study Brand Boulevard. It is 2 lane. Brand Boulevard is 2 lane on each direction, and it gets congested. But yet the walkability is very nice because there's so many stores, so many restaurants that people want to walk. You just enjoy the walk, so it's very nice. But we are far away from that because we need to fix the infrastructure first, clean the area from the homeless people to encourage people to walk.
Got it. Okay. I think we're going to end it here. There's more articles coming out on this. And AJ, we'll see you back with a few other folks. And if you want to get a petition that says we either love it or not, or neutral or hate it by the Blackstone Avenue merchants, feel free to do that as well. We'll publish it on GB Wire. I want to see if Bill has any final comments, and I'll wrap up with my own.
No, just a great show tonight, and thank you for coming on, AJ.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. And I'll see you next week. I guess I'll have two members of Blackstone Merchants.
That sounds good, AJ.
Or maybe I get the resident as well.
Get a resident that lives in the area and
Yes.
somebody. Again, this is unfiltered, so a lot of stuff goes. And let me end with my comments. I love bicycle lanes. I love walkability. The neighborhoods that we're building is residential next to some apartments, next to retail like sandwich shops, coffee shops. So it promotes walkability, all with a series of connected trails. That's what Granville Homes does. I would not want to put a lane on Blackstone Avenue, whether it's the busiest or the second or the 10th busiest street. Lots of cars go up and down Blackstone, lots of greenhouse gases, and some folks that are distracted in driving. I would not want to walk down Blackstone Avenue, folks. I don't know whose idea it was to put pedestrian lanes and bicycle lanes and promote more walkability on one of the busiest streets where you have noise pollution, light pollution, air pollution. That's not a very smart idea. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to put together an opinion page that's going to go out probably next week. This is not a good use of Fresno taxpayers' money. Whether we got federal grants, state grants. We have so many other needs in the city of Fresno to put in beautiful bicycle lanes. By the way, they're called cycle tracks. And Granville Homes designed a series of cycle tracks. We submitted it to then Mayor Ashley Swearingen in 2013. But we studied it. We studied Amsterdam, Portland, and Indianapolis. One of the first things we discovered, you don't put cycle tracks or wider trails on very busy streets for a variety of reasons, which I just explained. You put it on less traveled streets. So kids will use it going to school. It's off the major street. Some folks will use it to commute to work on a bicycle, and some folks like me will use it to recreate. Get on my bicycle, go for a cycle ride. But you don't put it on very busy, congested, noise traffic, pollution, light pollution, for the same reason that even though the city of Fresno wants to put a lot of mixed use, it sounds like AJ supports it. I do not. I don't want to put a retail, and we build those, folks, retail on the first floor, 2 stories of apartments above. I would not want one of my tenants to live on Blackstone Avenue. I don't want them to raise their kids on Blackstone Avenue, 2nd floor, where light, noise, air pollution, they're subjected to all that. Why would we want to do that? We are not running. There's so many other opportunities to do that in Fresno. Blackstone is a wrong place to do it. And whoever the genius was that came up with the idea or supported it, we're going to keep on inviting you. I want to debate with you on my show called Unfiltered. Anyhow, AJ, you have your hand up, so you get the last word.
Yeah, thank you. So I suggested to the city a few months ago, saying, let's change Blackstone, North of Dakota, change it back to C6 like it used to be before they changed it to mixed use. Because there are no development, no improvement on Blackstone, at least North of Dakota. So I said, let's at least change it so we can improve the city, so people will be encouraged to build, and we can create more revenue for the city. So that was a suggestion I gave. I said, let's not change the whole thing. Let's change part of it at least.
You're going to get a chance to voice more your opinion. I'm sure there'll be more comments, but please, we want feedback from Blackstone Merchants Association. I don't have any businesses down there. We have a Starbucks on Blackstone Avenue further south, but you want to know, I want to hear from the Merchants Association. What is their feedback? They may support it. They may go, hey, this becomes Brand Avenue. Doris is flat out wrong. We should have cyclists and more people walking along Blackstone Avenue. And we want that. And by the way, some of those folks are going to buy more stuff from our stores. So maybe Doris is wrong. I would like to be corrected if I am with the Merchants Association, and I won't take it personally. I'll learn a few things and we'll move on. Okay. Let me see if there's any other final comments. No, I think we're good. Thanks everybody for watching. The 90-minute show is supposed to be 60. AJ, see you next Tuesday. There probably will be another poll up. Please look out for that. And several more articles on GV Wire on this issue, where City of Fresno is going to be spending a lot of your money on shrinking Blackstone from 6 to 4 lanes. Stay tuned. Go Dogs and go Fresno. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.